Hello everybody, and welcome to the quarterly stats video for the third quarter of 2024. It's been a little time coming. I've been waiting for the bill to come through from Octopus for August and September, so that I've got accurate data for the video. It took a little while, after the month that ended for it to come through, but I've got it now, and I've been held up by a few other things, but yeah, I've collated it all together. Big changes for this last quarter, because I've now shifted my export away from the deemed export that I get through the FIT scheme, and I've moved over onto the export that Octopus provide, and they'll pay me 15 pence a kilowatt hour for all the kilowatt hours that I export, whereas on the deemed system I was only getting about 6 pence a kilowatt hour, but that was calculated based on half of what I generated I exported, which wasn't the case. I used to keep almost all of it, so it was borderline whether it was going to be better to go one way or the other, but I decided to take the plunge and actually get paid for my export directly, and then hopefully I can also take part in the power hour stuff that Octopus will be doing this winter when the grid is low. They usually put out these reduce your usage hours, particularly at peak times, at tea time sort of thing, when everyone's cooking their dinners and stuff, and I'll now be able to actually make some benefit of those, because before, my usage was typically zero, because I would always be running off my batteries. Even if I reduced my usage down to nothing, which is what it was anyway, so I didn't get any credit or any benefit from that, because it's based on the difference between what you save compared to what you would normally use in that time, and so the difference between nothing and nothing is still nothing, so I didn't get anything. Whereas now I'll be able to actually export power during those periods, and then they'll actually pay me a credit for all the power that I export, which will be a really good thing to help offset my bills through the winter when I'm got higher energy usage. So yeah, my entire system has changed. So I've changed all the rules in Monocle. So now I charge the batteries up at night to make sure that they're all full as soon as the sun comes up, and then the power will automatically then won't be filling the batteries because they're already full, so it'll just export everything, and then I get paid for that. And then later on in the evening I usually discharge the batteries to the grid as well, so that they're empty, ready for filling them up again that night. So yeah, my graphs should all look quite different this quarter compared to the previous quarter. So that's probably enough jabber. Let's get into the data, and you'll be able to see how things have changed. So we generated a total of 2,537 kilowatt hours in that quarter. We imported 2,776 kilowatt hours, and we exported 1,700 kilowatt hours. So you can see, compared to my previous videos, that that's a big change. Much bigger import and a much bigger export. Total used for the last quarter is 3,927 kilowatt hours. That much energy, if we didn't have solar and battery system, would have cost us, on Octopus's sort of standard electricity tariff, would have cost us £939, which is huge. I'm glad I'm not paying that. So having solar has saved us £258. Taking advantage of the fact that we have a home battery system and we are on the Octopus Go tariff, where we get 7p a kilowatt hour electricity between 11:30 at night and 5:30 in the morning. That saved us £386. Our FIT stroke export for this third quarter has earned us £524.87. I should mention that even though I've moved my export off of the FIT, so I don't do the deemed export anymore, I do still get paid for all the energy that I generate under the FIT scheme, and that will continue until it's run for the full 25 years, I think it was, something like that. So the total cost to us for 3,927 kilowatt hours was £304.24. £56.37 of that is the standing charge, which means that the average price we've paid per kilowatt hour in the last quarter is 6.31. So you see that's gone up a lot compared to previous quarters when I was trying to use as much of my energy as possible. My average unit price was down to only sort of 3 point something pence or thereabouts a kilowatt hour. So it's now up to 6.31, and that is because all the energy I'm using now pretty much comes from the nighttime rate available from Octopus Go, which is for me 7p a kilowatt hour. So I charge my batteries up with that, and then I run the house off of that all day, so that all the energy that my solar's generating is just being exported. And so you'd expect my average price to be about 7p a kilowatt hour, but obviously there's some losses in terms of charging the batteries and then discharging them. You don't get back everything that you put in, so that would make it a bit higher. But then obviously there's also some energy from my solar that's also still used to generate top up certain things going on between sort of 5:30 when the cheap rate Octopus ends and sort of 7 o'clock or whatever, when the sun actually comes up and the panels start generating. There's a small amount of energy there that I'm using to run the house, and then once the sun comes up I have to recharge that difference back into the batteries from the solar before they start exporting to the grid. So that little bit of free energy from the sun helps to bring the price down to just under 7p. So that's about what I'd expect, 6.31 a kilowatt hour. But when you take into account the amount of money I'm getting from the payment back to me from the export, which we'll look at now, the situation looks a lot better. Okay, so here we go. Yes, the cost to me was £304.24 for all the electricity that I used. My FIT export payments are £524.87. So the actual cost to me for that quarter was nothing. In fact, I've made a profit of £220. So yeah, that includes, I'm running my house, I'm running the cars, so that includes all my mileage, petrol, effectively equivalent usage thereof for vehicles, all that stuff I've done for the whole quarter, and I've still gained £220. So that's a big win, and I think that's more than I would have got under the old way of working. So I think this this export through Octopus is going to be a really good way forward, a good way to offset my bills, at least as long as it lasts. I don't expect them to keep paying these sort of rates forever, but certainly I've got it fixed for 12 months, so I know I'll be getting it for at least the next 12 months. And if it ever ends and it doesn't become cost effective, I can always just go back to what I was doing before. Although technically I'd be slightly worse off, because obviously if I'm using all the energy, then I'm not going to be exporting very much. And so I won't get the benefit of like I did under the deemed system. But I must add that actually I was hoping to get this all finalised with Octopus and get off the deemed export at the start of the quarter, and it looked like it was happening, but then OVO, who my Fit system was with, completely screwed up, told me that they had cancelled the deemed part of my Fit system, and that I was now free to go over onto an export with Octopus. But then it turns out that they hadn't updated all the central records, and so Octopus couldn't actually action my Fit, my export, and so there was a lot of delays, and I had to chase OVO up a number of times, and they were just useless. Compared to Octopus, their customer service is just dreadful. Octopus are so good. You know, when you talk to them, you get the feeling that they know what they're talking about. When I spoke to the people at OVO, I didn't get that impression. In fact, I felt like I knew more about it than they did. So yeah, it wasn't very good. But anyway, there was a lot of delays. So in the end, I didn't actually really get started on it until after 1 month of the quarter had already passed. So there's only really 2 months of this quarter where I've actually been actively exporting energy. Otherwise, I think my figures would have been even better. But yeah, for the first month of the quarter, I was still pretty much running in the old way. And you'll see that in the pie charts, which we can look at now. So here is the pie chart for all the power that was generated in the last quarter, and you can see that we've exported, you know, sort of more than 2/3 of it, just about, which is in line with what I was saying. So, you know, there's 3 months in the quarter. Only 2 of the months I've been exporting everything, so you'd expect about 2/3 of the energy to be exported and about 1/3 of it be used, and that's what we see in this pie chart. But if you look at just September, so just the last month, you can see that we've exported everything. See, it's and for the next quarter, the last quarter of the year, I would expect, you know, for the whole quarter to see that all red, just like that. Now let's have a look at the pie chart for where all the energy that we generated came from, and you can see that it's, you know, basically the same as always. The SolarX inverter provides the most, but that's because it's got the most panels on it, and the other two grow watts are fairly even at the moment, and the shed-mounted solar panels are doing pretty well as well, of keeping my homemade battery bank topped up. Okay, now let's have a look at the mix for the last quarter, and you can see that we have got almost a quarter of this pie chart showing the generated electricity that we've used, because we didn't export it in that first quarter. In that first month of the quarter, we were still using everything. So there's about a quarter there where we've used the energy, and then the rest of the energy we used, apart from that free bit, was all cheap rate available at night, or it was cheap rate available during peak time because of when the car happened to be charging, which Octopus do sometimes, if it's better for them. And then there was also a couple of power hours which Octopus have started doing again now, so I managed to get a lot of usage during that 1 hour to make the most of that free energy. So you can see there's a chunk there that's free, and there's just 2.5% is actually during the expensive time, and that was partly because of, in that first month, when I was having all those problems switching from the deemed export to the actual export, and I thought it was all set up and working, and then it turns out that it wasn't, and so I ended up exporting power when I wasn't getting anything for it, and so consequently then I had to import some power because I'd run out and everything. So there was a bit of expensive usage there that shouldn't have been there otherwise, but hopefully that you won't see that again after this. And in fact, if we have a look at just September, you can see that in September the free generated energy has disappeared from the pie chart entirely, because obviously I'm not using any of that now. It's all being exported pretty much, and so all the energy is, the bulk of it, 84% of it in September, is all just coming from the cheap night rate, and then there was a little bit of cheap peak rate, which is again when Octopus charge the card outside of their normal hours because it's better for them, and then there was quite a few more power hours as well in September, and so I took advantage of those and managed to get 4% or so power for nothing. And then there's just this 2% that was expensive, and that was probably just caused by a few little glitches where I overly exported power and then ran out before the cheap rate started again, and had to use a little bit from the grid in the evening. I'm getting better at planning how long it takes for the batteries to discharge now, so hopefully that will go down even more as well. And now let's have a look at the breakdown of where all the power that we have been using has gone. On this pie chart you can see the bulk of it is still going in the Tesla and the Leaf, so that's more than half of all the energy is powering the cars, and then nearly 400 kilowatt hours heating hot water. That really makes me think about, if I had, because I'm using an immersion there, so that's just 100% efficient. So if I had an actual proper heat pump that was sort of had a copper 4, then you could say that would probably only be 100 kilowatt hours there instead of 400. But that's still something to do. I'm still struggling with that a lot, just because of the sheer amount of work it would take to re-plumb the whole of the house. It would mean ripping up all the floorboards and things like that. So it's not something that's going to happen quite as quickly as I would like. But anyway, you can see here as well, I've got a new bar for the fridge freezer. I've started monitoring how much energy that's using, and it used 110 kilowatt hours for the quarter. It's about 5% of our power usage running the fridge freezer. Dishwasher's a similar amount, kettle's a similar amount. and you can see that 11% went on gaming. But interestingly, both my sons have left the home now to go to university, so for September they haven't been here. So if we have a look at the figures for September, you'll see that the gaming block has reduced down to just 2.3%. So that's dropped significantly because I don't really have much time to play video games anymore. So you know, it's basically that will be just running this computer up here, and that will be mostly for me doing these videos and occasional bits of work. Our best day was on the 13th of August, and on that day we generated 50 kilowatt hours. And here is the graph for that day. It's a pretty nice bell curve, very little in the way of clouds that day, a little bit around 11 o'clock, but that's it. All the inverters contributing something, even the shed mounted solar, pretty much doing something all day long. Our worst day was on the 6th of September, and on that day we generated just 2.7 kilowatt hours. So that is a huge difference between the best day and the worst day. And you can see it's yeah, pretty flat. Must have been pretty grey. Okay, let's now have a look at all the power we used broken down into half-hourly blocks for the quarter. You'll see that when we are in July, that I'm still running mostly off the batteries, so off-grid usage, where we're not effectively not pulling anything from the grid. And then eventually we should get to August, and you should see that during the daytime now there is pretty much no usage from the grid at all. It's all nighttime usage, and you'll see a few of the power hours in there showing up in green, and you can see that I managed to hit like 20 kilowatt hours of energy used in just 1 hour, which was getting me pretty close to my house fuse limit. I must have been hitting 90 amps for almost all of that hour, trying to use as much as possible of that free energy. But I do monitor it carefully. My system checks constantly how much I'm pulling, and if it detects that there's too many things turned on, it will switch off some of the less important ones to keep the usage you know, below blowing the house fuse. Okay, so that's it for this quarter. Like I say, it's changed quite a bit, and so far it seems to be working really well. Hopefully the next quarter will be even more interesting, because obviously I'll be doing this for the entire quarter, and hopefully there'll be some of these saving sessions from Octopus going on in the next quarter up to Christmas or up to the end of the year, and I'll hopefully be able to take advantage of some of those. And you know, I've seen them paying quite a lot per kilowatt hour during that hour for every kilowatt you export. So I think I should be able to export in 1 hour probably about getting close to 6 kilowatts. So yeah, hopefully that will make me earn something and help cut off a bit of my bill for those months. But yes, that's it. There is some more videos coming soon, because I've been having some dealings with Pylontech about some of my batteries, so I'm going to be making a video about that and what happened there. And there's also some stuff about that battery that I tried to repair and what's happened with that. And also I'm considering getting even more solar on the north facing side of my roof, and so I might be making a short video just about what that would involve and why I'd be doing that and why I think it would be worth it. So stay tuned for those. Hopefully they won't be too far behind this one, but that's it for this video. Thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one. Cheers.